Forward. Why mindfulness matters in the modern world. We live in an age of speed, noise, and endless stimulation. Notifications pull at our attention, responsibilities pile up, and the mind races from one worry to the next. In such a world, presence feels like a luxury we cannot afford. Yet the truth is the opposite. Presence is not a luxury. It is a necessity. Mindfulness, the practice of being fully aware of the present moment, has been taught for centuries in wisdom traditions. Today, science confirms what sages long understood. Mindfulness reduces stress, sharpens focus, strengthens emotional balance, and even reshapes the brain. But mindfulness is not just about calmness or meditation. It is about reclaiming life from autopilot. Too often, we live half asleep, eating without tasting, walking without noticing, speaking without listening. Life slips past us while the mind is elsewhere. Mindfulness calls us back. It invites us to wake up to the simple miracle of being alive. In this book, you will discover mindfulness not as a distant philosophy, but as a practical way of living. You will learn how the breath can anchor the wandering mind, how awareness transforms relationships, how presence brings resilience in the face of stress, and how even ordinary routines, drinking tea, walking, listening, can become gateways to freedom. The modern world demands our attention. Mindfulness offers it back to us. This is why mindfulness matters now more than ever, not as escape from life, but as the fullest way of entering it. Introduction. Coming home to the present moment. Where is your mind right now? It may be wandering into tomorrow's tasks, replaying yesterday's conversations, or caught in the endless scroll of news and notifications. Rarely does it rest fully in this moment, here and now. Yet life can only be lived in the present. The past is memory, the future is imagination, the present is the only place reality exists. Mindfulness is the art of coming home to this moment. It is the practice of noticing your breath, your body, your thoughts, your surroundings. It is not about emptying the mind or escaping reality. It is about living reality more deeply. Why we drift away. The human mind is restless. Studies suggest that we spend nearly half our waking lives lost in thought, absent from the present moment. We eat while scrolling, walk while worrying, and talk while planning our reply instead of listening. This constant drifting creates stress, anxiety, and disconnection. Mindfulness offers another way, to live with awareness, to be fully awake in our own lives. The gentle power of presence. When we practice mindfulness, even simple acts transform. Eating becomes nourishment, not just consumption. Walking becomes meditation, not just movement. Listening becomes connection, not just waiting to respond. Presence reveals richness in the ordinary. It teaches us that peace is not found by escaping life, but by paying attention to it. Science meets wisdom. Ancient teachers described mindfulness as liberation. Modern science describes it as neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to change. MRI scans show that mindfulness practice strengthens regions of the brain responsible for focus and compassion while calming the stress centers. The wisdom of old and the findings of today point to the same truth. Awareness heals. What this book offers. This book is not about becoming a monk or retreating from the world. It is about bringing mindfulness into everyday life. In work, to focus and create. In relationships, to listen and love. In challenges, to respond with calm resilience. in ordinary moments to rediscover joy. You will learn the science, the practices, and the stories that show how mindfulness can transform not just what you do, but how you live. An invitation. As you begin this journey, let this book be a pause in your day, a breath, a moment of stillness. Let it remind you that you don't need to change everything at once. You need only return again and again to the present moment. Because when you come home to now, you come home to life itself. Chapter 1. The Science of Mindfulness. What the Brain Reveals About Presence. Mindfulness may sound like an ancient spiritual practice, and it is, but it is also a subject of modern science. In the past 2 decades, neuroscientists and psychologists have begun to uncover what mindfulness does inside the brain and body. The findings confirm what wisdom traditions have taught for centuries. Awareness changes us, not just emotionally, but biologically. The wandering mind researchers at Harvard found that the human mind wanders nearly half the time. Even when we are eating, walking, or working, the mind drifts into the past or leaps into the future. The study also revealed something striking. A wandering mind correlates with lower happiness, regardless of whether the thoughts are pleasant or unpleasant. Presence, it turns out, is directly linked to well-being. The Brain on Mindfulness brain imaging studies show that regular mindfulness practice produces measurable changes. Calming the amygdala. The amygdala is the brain's alarm system, triggering stress and fear. Mindfulness reduces its activity, helping us respond with clarity instead of panic. Strengthening the prefrontal cortex. This region supports focus, planning, and self-control. Mindfulness thickens this area, giving us better executive function. Enhancing the hippocampus. Responsible for memory and learning, the hippocampus grows stronger through consistent mindfulness. In other words, mindfulness literally rewires the brain for calm, focus, and resilience. The physiology of calm mindfulness doesn't only change the brain, it shifts the entire nervous system. By slowing the breath and focusing attention, we activate the parasympathetic nervous system, the body's natural relaxation response. Heart rate slows, blood pressure lowers, muscles release tension. Even a few mindful breaths can move the body from fight or flight into rest and repair. Why this matters? We live in a culture of constant stress and distraction. Our survival brain is on overdrive, flooding the body with cortisol and adrenaline. Over time, this leads to exhaustion, anxiety, and illness. Mindfulness interrupts the cycle. It teaches us that presence is not just good for the soul, it is medicine for the body and training for the brain. A science-backed ancient wisdom. For thousands of years, teachers spoke of mindfulness as liberation, the way to freedom from suffering. Science now shows that this liberation is not only spiritual, but physical. Awareness literally reshapes the mind, proving that inner practices create outer transformation. Mindfulness is more than a nice idea. It is a proven tool for human flourishing. By choosing presence, we are not only calming the mind at the moment, we are sculpting a brain and body built for clarity, compassion, and resilience. Chapter 2. Awareness versus autopilot. Breaking free from unconscious living. Most of us live much of our lives on autopilot, We wake, eat, commute, work, scroll, and sleep, often without truly noticing what we are doing. This efficiency helps us survive, but it robs us of depth. Autopilot may get us through the day, but it keeps us from fully living. Mindfulness is the art of breaking free from this unconscious drift. It invites us to step out of mechanical routine and into awareness, to taste, feel, listen, and engage with life as it unfolds. The trap of autopilot is not always bad. It allows us to brush our teeth without thinking, drive familiar routes, or type without looking at the keyboard. But when too much of life happens unconsciously, we lose connection to what matters. Eating without awareness, overconsumption and disconnection from health. Working without attention, busyness without satisfaction. Talking without listening, relationships that feel shallow and strained. Autopilot may keep us efficient, but it keeps us absent. The gift of awareness. Awareness interrupts the loop. When you pause and notice your breath, the taste of food, the tone of a friend's voice, you wake up. You shift from doing to being. With awareness, even ordinary moments shine. Washing dishes becomes a rhythm of water, bubbles, and breath. Walking becomes a dance of steps, contact, and air. Listening becomes a deep act of presence, not a rush to respond. Awareness turns routine into richness. Choosing, not drifting. The greatest gift of mindfulness is choice. Autopilot makes you a passenger in your own life. Awareness makes you the driver. When you notice what you're doing, you can decide whether to continue or change. Instead of reacting with anger, you can breathe and respond calmly. Instead of reaching for your phone, you can pause and choose connection. Instead of rushing through dinner, you can slow down and savor. Awareness puts freedom back into your hands. Practical ways to awaken awareness. 1. Pause once an hour. Ask, where is my mind right now? What is my body doing? 2. Mindful eating. Take the first 3 bites of a meal with full awareness of flavor and texture. 3. Anchor to transitions. Use everyday moments, entering a room, turning on the car, opening your laptop, as reminders to breathe and notice. 4. Single tasking. Give full attention to one action instead of dividing energy across many. Living awake mindfulness doesn't require escaping life. It asks us to enter life more fully. By breaking free from autopilot, we rediscover presence in the everyday. Instead of rushing through life half asleep, we awaken to the extraordinary within the ordinary. Chapter 3. The Breath as Anchor. How simple attention reshapes the mind. The breath is the simplest, most powerful tool for mindfulness. It is always with us, steady, rhythmic, and present. We cannot control the past. We cannot predict the future. But we can breathe, here and now. This is why the breath has been called the anchor of mindfulness. Why the breath? It is universal. Every human being breathes. It connects us to all of life. It is constant. The breath never leaves us. It is a faithful companion from birth to death. It is neutral. The breath carries no judgment, no story, just pure presence. When the mind wanders, the breath welcomes us back. Training the mind through breathing. The practice is deceptively simple. 1. Sit or stand comfortably. 2. Notice the inhale and exhale without trying to change them. 3. When the mind drifts, as it will, gently return to the breath. This repetition builds 3 essential skills. Awareness, noticing where the mind is. Focus, choosing to return to the breath. Compassion. Treating each drift not as failure, but as practice. Each return to the breath is a small victory, a reminder that you can begin again in any moment. The science of breath awareness activates the vagus nerve, shifting the body into the parasympathetic rest and repair mode. Heart rate slows, muscles relax, cortisol decreases. Just a few mindful breaths create measurable calm in the nervous system. This is why deep breathing feels like medicine. It literally rewires the body for balance. Everyday breathing practices. 1 breath before answering the phone. 3 breaths before sending an email. 5 breaths before responding in conflict. A mindful pause at red lights, in lines, or while waiting. The breath turns waiting into practice, frustration into peace, and routine into awareness. The deeper lesson of breathing mindfulness is not about controlling life. It is about returning to it. The breath teaches this truth. Inhale, receive, exhale, let go. Life itself is this rhythm. Taking in and releasing, beginning and ending, moment by moment. When life feels overwhelming, return to the breath. When the mind races, return to the breath. When you forget yourself, return to the breath. Because the breath is more than oxygen. It is the bridge back to the present, the anchor that steadies the storm, and the reminder that you are alive, right here, right now. Chapter 4. Mindfulness and Emotion. Calming the storm. Within emotions are powerful. They can lift us into joy or drown us in despair. Too often we are carried away by emotional storms, anger, fear, sadness, without realizing that we have a choice. Mindfulness gives us that choice. It does not suppress emotions, but transforms our relationship with them. The automatic reaction. When anger rises, we lash out. When fear appears, we avoid. When sadness lingers, we numb ourselves. These automatic reactions are wired into the brain's survival system, controlled by the amygdala. They are fast, unconscious, and often disproportionate to the situation. The mindful pause. Mindfulness introduces a pause between stimulus and response. By noticing I am angry instead of becoming anger, we create space. That space allows the prefrontal cortex, the brain's center of reason and compassion, to engage. Instead of reacting blindly, we respond wisely. Naming the emotion neuroscience shows that simply labeling an emotion, this is anxiety, this is sadness, reduces its intensity. Naming moves the emotion from the raw limbic system into the rational prefrontal cortex. Mindfulness invites us to say, I feel anger, not I am anger. This subtle shift reminds us that emotions are experiences, not identities. Breathing through the storm. When emotions swell, return to the breath. Inhale. Breathing in, I know this is fear. Exhale. Breathing out, I release some of its hold. Breath doesn't erase emotion, but it softens its grip. Like a storm passing through the sky, emotions come and go. The sky, our awareness, remains. Compassion toward emotion. Mindfulness is not about judging emotions as good or bad. It is about meeting them with curiosity and kindness. Anger may reveal unmet needs. Sadness may signal a longing for connection. Fear may be a call for protection. By listening instead of resisting, emotions become teachers rather than enemies. Everyday practices. Stop practice. Stop, take a breath. Observe the emotion. Proceed with awareness. Body scan. Notice where the emotion lives in your body. Tight chest, clenched jaw, heavy stomach. Breathe into that space. Mindful journaling. Write emotions as they arise, without censorship. The promise of mindfulness and emotion. Mindfulness does not promise a life free of storms. It promises that we can face storms with clarity. By observing, naming, and breathing, we shift from being overwhelmed to being present. The waves still come, but we learn to surf them instead of drown beneath them. Chapter 5. The Paradox of Slowing Down. Finding clarity in stillness. We live in a culture that worships speed. Faster internet, faster results, faster success. Slowing down feels counterintuitive, even dangerous. If I slow down, I'll fall behind. Yet the paradox of mindfulness is this. By slowing down, we actually see more clearly, act more wisely, and live more fully. The illusion of speed. Rushing often creates mistakes, stress, and shallow attention. Like driving too fast through a beautiful landscape, we miss details, meaning, and joy. We may arrive quickly, but we arrive exhausted and disconnected. Speed gives the illusion of productivity, but often steals depth and accuracy. Stillness as strength. Stillness is not the absence of action. It is the presence of clarity. A calm lake reflects the sky clearly. A quiet mind reflects reality truthfully. When we slow down, pausing before replying, breathing before deciding, listening fully before speaking, we make better choices. Stillness strengthens, not weakens, our capacity to act. Slowing down in practice. Mindful walking. Walk slowly, noticing each step, instead of rushing from place to place. Single tasking. Focus on one task with presence instead of juggling many with distraction. Mindful eating. Taste each bite, noticing flavors and textures instead of rushing through meals. Pause rituals. Before sending an email, making a purchase, or reacting in anger, pause, breathe, then act. These small acts of slowing down create moments of clarity in the chaos of modern life. The fear of missing out. We rush because we fear missing opportunities. Yet mindfulness reveals that the greatest opportunity is not out there. It is here, in this moment. By slowing down, we stop missing our own lives. Stories of stillness. A leader who paused 5 minutes before meetings reported greater calm and better decisions. A parent who slowed down bedtime routines with mindfulness found deeper connection with their child. An artist who began painting more slowly rediscovered joy in the process, not just the product. The true productivity, slowing down, does not mean doing less. It means doing with presence. From that presence comes clarity, creativity, and resilience. The paradox is real. Slowing down makes us more effective, not less. Mindfulness teaches us that life is not a race to the finish line. It is a journey to be lived deeply, moment by moment. By slowing down, we do not lose time. We gain life. Chapter 6. Mindful Body, Mindful Health Healing Through Awareness. The body is our first home, yet many of us live as strangers inside it. We push it beyond limits, numb it with distraction, or ignore its signals until it breaks down. Mindfulness invites us back into the body, not to control it, but to listen, to care, and to heal. The body as teacher. Every sensation, tension, warmth, hunger, fatigue, is the body's way of speaking. Too often, we override these signals with caffeine, screens, or sheer willpower. Mindfulness teaches us to pause and ask, what is my body telling me right now? By listening, we prevent small whispers of discomfort from becoming shouts of illness. The science of mindful health research shows that mindfulness practices reduce stress hormones, cortisol, lowering risk of chronic disease. boost immune function, helping the body fight infection. Improve sleep quality, restoring energy and focus. Decrease pain perception by changing how the brain processes discomfort. Awareness itself is medicine. Mindful breathing and the body. Each breath nourishes cells with oxygen. Each exhale releases toxins. Breathing with awareness connects us directly to the body's rhythms. Even a few mindful breaths slow the heart, relax muscles, and restore balance to the nervous system. Body scan practice. A simple yet powerful exercise. 1. Lie down or sit comfortably. 2. Close your eyes and bring attention to the toes. Notice any sensation. 3. Slowly move awareness upward, legs, abdomen, chest, arms, head. 4. If you find tension, breathe into it with kindness. This practice not only reduces stress, but strengthens the bond between mind and body. Eating with awareness. Mindfulness transforms eating from automatic consumption into an act of care. Notice the colors, smells, and textures. Chew slowly, tasting each bite. Pause to sense fullness before taking the next. Mindful eating improves digestion, prevents overeating, and restores joy to food. Movement with mindfulness. Walking, stretching, yoga, even simple chores can become mindful practices when done with awareness. Instead of rushing through exercise or daily tasks, notice the body's sensations and rhythms. Movement then becomes not a duty, but a celebration of life. Healing beyond the physical. Mindful awareness doesn't just heal the body, it heals the relationship we have with it. Instead of treating the body as a machine to be pushed, we begin treating it as a partner to be respected. Gratitude for the body fosters deeper peace within. Mindfulness reminds us, the body is not a burden to manage, but a gift to honor. When we live with awareness, the body becomes a source of wisdom, resilience, and healing. Chapter 7. Mindful Relationships. Listening, loving, and connecting. Deeply human beings are wired for connection. Yet in our hurried, distracted world, relationships often become shallow. Conversations reduced to quick exchanges, listening replaced by waiting to reply, presence overshadowed by screens. Mindfulness offers a way back. It teaches us to be fully present with others, to listen deeply, and to love without distraction. Presence as the greatest gift. In relationships, presence matters more than perfection. To truly listen, to give someone your full attention without judgment or interruption, is a rare gift. Mindfulness trains us to put aside inner chatter and simply be there, fully, for another person. The art of deep listening. Deep listening goes beyond hearing words. It notices tone, pauses, and emotions beneath the surface. When we listen with mindfulness, we listen not to reply, but to understand. A mindful listener communicates, "You matter, I see you, I hear you." Such listening can heal wounds, soften conflict, and strengthen bonds. Mindfulness in love. Love often falters not because it disappears, but because it is not nourished. Small mindful acts, eye contact, a gentle touch, a pause to say thank you, reignite connection. Being fully present with a partner, child, or friend restores intimacy more powerfully than grand gestures. Transforming conflict. Conflict is inevitable in human connection. Mindfulness does not erase disagreements, but it changes how we handle them. Instead of reacting from anger, we pause, breathe, and respond with clarity. Naming emotions. I feel hurt instead of "you always do this." shifts blame into vulnerability, opening space for resolution. Everyday practices for mindful relationships. One mindful meal. Share a meal without phones or TV, tasting food and each other's presence. 3 breaths before speaking. Pause to ensure words are kind and necessary. Gratitude check-ins. Each day, name one thing you appreciate about the other person. Full attention minutes. Spend 5 minutes daily giving undivided attention to your partner, child, or friend. The ripple effect of presence. When one person practices mindful presence, it influences others. Calmness is contagious. Attentive listening encourages openness. Compassion sparks compassion. Through mindful relationships, we help create mindful families, workplaces, and communities. Mindfulness reminds us that connection is not found in grand moments, but in the small daily acts of presence. To love mindfully is to say, I am here with you, fully, now. And in that presence, relationships flourish. Chapter 8. Mindfulness at Work. Focus, creativity, and balance in modern life work occupies a large portion of our lives. Yet for many, it is a source of stress rather than fulfillment. Deadlines, emails, constant notifications, and meetings pull us in every direction. In such an environment, our attention is fragmented and our energy drained. Mindfulness offers not an escape from work, but a way to work with clarity, focus, and balance. The cost of distraction. Studies show that employees spend nearly half their time in a state of partial attention, multitasking, switching between tasks, and reacting to interruptions. This constant fragmentation reduces productivity, increases stress, and diminishes creativity. Mindfulness helps us reclaim attention. By training the mind to stay present, we accomplish more with less strain. Focus through presence. When we bring mindfulness to work, even simple tasks change. Writing an email with full attention makes it clearer and kinder. Listening in a meeting without planning our reply fosters better collaboration. Starting the day with a few mindful breaths sets the tone for calm productivity. Mindful focus is not about doing more, but about doing with presence. Creativity in stillness. Great ideas rarely come when the mind is frantic. They arise in spaces of calm, during a walk, in the shower, in moments of stillness. Mindfulness cultivates that spaciousness. By pausing, breathing, and noticing, we give creativity room to emerge. Balance in a busy world. Work often consumes life because boundaries blur. Mindfulness restores balance by helping us recognize limits. Pausing before accepting another task, noticing tension before it becomes burnout, and taking breaks with awareness all protect well-being while sustaining performance. Practical mindful work habits. Mindful check-in. Before starting the day, pause to breathe and set an intention. Single tasking. Choose one task and give it undivided attention for a set period. Micro breaks. Stand, stretch, or breathe every hour to refresh energy. Mindful transitions. Before leaving work, pause to let go of the day before entering home life. Gratitude emails. Once a week, send a note of thanks to a colleague. The workplace ripple. When individuals practice mindfulness, workplaces change. Meetings become more productive, communication more respectful, leadership more compassionate. Teams rooted in presence build trust and resilience. Work does not have to be frantic. With mindfulness, it can become a place of focus, creativity, and even joy. The key is not in working harder, but in working with presence. For when we bring mindfulness to work, we not only improve performance, we transform the very experience of working. Chapter 9. Obstacles to Mindfulness. Distraction, restlessness, and self-judgment. Mindfulness sounds simple, just pay attention. Yet in practice, most people find it difficult. The mind wanders, the body grows restless, and self-criticism creeps in. These are not signs of failure. They are the natural obstacles of training the mind. By recognizing them with compassion, we turn obstacles into teachers. Distraction. The pull of a busy world. The modern environment is designed for distraction. Notifications, noise, and endless information constantly hijack attention. Even without external triggers, the mind generates its own stories, replaying the past or anticipating the future. Practice for distraction. Gently notice when the mind wanders. Label it: thinking, planning, remembering. Without judgment, return to the breath or chosen anchor. Each return is a repetition of the mindfulness muscle. The wandering is not failure. The return is the practice. Restlessness, the body's resistance. When sitting in stillness, the body often resists. Legs ache, shoulders tense, energy spikes. Restlessness is natural, especially in a world conditioned for constant stimulation. Practice for restlessness. Bring awareness into the sensation. Ask, what does this really feel like? Breathe into the discomfort rather than immediately reacting. If needed, mindfully shift position, treating movement as part of practice. Restlessness teaches patience and the truth of impermanence. Sensations rise and fall like waves. Self-judgment, the inner critic. Perhaps the greatest obstacle is the harsh voice within. I can't do this. My mind is too busy. I'm failing at meditation. This judgment tightens the mind, turning practice into struggle. Practice for self-judgment. Notice the critic with kindness. Ah, here is judgment. Treat it like a passing cloud, not a command. Offer compassion. It's okay to be imperfect. I am learning. Mindfulness is not about perfect stillness. It is about meeting the moment as it is, including imperfection. The hidden gift of obstacles. Every obstacle contains wisdom. Distraction teaches returning. Restlessness teaches patience. Self-judgment teaches compassion. The practice is not to eliminate obstacles, but to transform them into teachers. A gentle reminder: if you find mindfulness difficult, you are not alone. You are human. The wandering, the discomfort, the doubts are not barriers, but the very material of practice. Each time you return, breathe, and soften, you grow in awareness and resilience. Mindfulness is not about creating a perfect mind. It is about learning to stay with the imperfect one, with kindness, with curiosity, with presence, and in doing so, we discover freedom. Chapter 10. Mindfulness and Resilience. Meeting stress and struggle with presence. Life will bring difficulty, illness, loss, conflict, uncertainty. No one escapes suffering. Resilience is not the absence of hardship, but the ability to meet it with strength and clarity. Mindfulness strengthens resilience by teaching us to face challenges, not with denial or avoidance, but with presence. Stress and the survival brain. When stress strikes, the body enters fight or flight. The heart races, breathing quickens, and the mind narrows to threat. This response is useful in emergencies, but harmful when constantly triggered by modern pressures. Chronic stress erodes health, focus, and relationships. Mindfulness interrupts this cycle. By pausing to breathe, notice, and stay present, we shift from automatic reactivity to thoughtful response. Presence in the midst of pain. Mindfulness does not erase pain, but it changes how we hold it. Instead of drowning in fear, we observe, fear is here. Instead of being consumed by anger, we breathe, this is anger. Instead of denying sadness, we allow, this too belongs. Naming and witnessing emotions softens their grip. Awareness transforms suffering into something workable, even meaningful. The paradox of acceptance resilience grows not from fighting reality, but from accepting it fully. Acceptance does not mean resignation. It means facing life as it is so we can respond wisely. When we stop wasting energy resisting what is, we free energy to act on what can change. Everyday practices for resilience. 3 mindful breaths whenever stress rises. Grounding practice. Notice 5 things you see, 4 you feel, 3 you hear, 2 you smell, 1 you taste. This anchors attention in the present. Compassion break. Place a hand on your heart and say, this is hard. May I be kind to myself in this moment. Gratitude pause. Even in difficulty, notice one thing still good. Breath, sunlight, a friend's presence. Stories of mindful resilience. A nurse used mindfulness breathing between patients to stay calm in overwhelming shifts. A grieving parent found solace by sitting with sadness instead of fleeing from it, slowly learning that presence could hold pain without breaking. A student facing exam anxiety practiced grounding before tests and discovered calm focus in the midst of pressure. From fragile to anti-fragile without mindfulness, stress breaks us. With mindfulness, stress becomes the ground on which we grow. We learn to bend without breaking, to suffer without despair, to meet struggle with dignity. Mindfulness does not promise a life without storms. It promises that when storms come, we can stand in the center with presence, clarity, and resilience. In this way, mindfulness transforms hardship into strength and struggle into wisdom. Chapter 11. Everyday Mindfulness. Turning ordinary moments into practice. Many imagine mindfulness as something practiced only on a meditation cushion, in silence, away from daily life. But mindfulness is not limited to formal practice. It is a way of living. Every moment, no matter how ordinary, can become a doorway to presence. The myth of special practice. You don't need a retreat, a mountain temple, or hours of meditation to live mindfully. You need awareness. Washing dishes, walking to the bus, waiting in line, all are opportunities to wake up. Life is the practice. Mindfulness in daily activities. Eating. Notice flavors, textures, the miracle of food nourishing your body. Walking. Feel each step, the contact of feet with earth, the rhythm of movement. Working. Focus on one task fully, resisting the pull of multitasking. Listening. Give your full attention, noticing tone, pauses, and silence. Waiting. Instead of impatience, notice your breath and the world around you. These small practices transform the routine into sacred presence. The joy of ordinary things. Mindfulness reveals that joy is not hidden in rare experiences, but in simple ones. Drinking tea, hearing birdsong, feeling sunlight. These moments, when noticed, nourish the soul. We stop racing for happiness in the future and begin discovering it in the now. Overcoming forgetfulness. The greatest obstacle to everyday mindfulness is forgetting. We slip back into autopilot. The solution is gentle reminders. Place notes or objects in your space. Breathe, smile, hear. Use sounds. A phone chime, a bell, a passing siren as cues to return. Pair mindfulness with habits. 3 breaths before starting the car. 1 mindful sip at the beginning of each drink. The cumulative power. Each mindful moment is small, but together they reshape life. Slowly, impatience softens into calm, distraction into focus, emptiness into appreciation. The ordinary becomes extraordinary. An invitation. You don't need more time to practice mindfulness. You need only use the time you already have differently. Let each step, each sip, each word be an opportunity to come home to yourself and to life. Mindfulness is not something we add to life. It is the way we live life itself. By bringing presence into the everyday, we discover that every moment is practice, and every moment is enough. Chapter 12. The Ripple Effect of a Mindful Community. How presence transforms society. Mindfulness begins as a personal practice, but its effects do not stop with the individual. Like a stone dropped into a still pond, the presence of one person creates ripples that extend outward, touching families, workplaces, and entire communities. When mindfulness spreads, society itself changes. The power of collective presence. When individuals are calm, they create calm spaces. When they listen deeply, conversations shift. When they act with awareness, conflicts soften. The collective impact of mindful individuals can reshape the tone of a household, the culture of an organization, even the values of a nation. Mindfulness in families' children learn presence not from lectures, but from example. A parent who pauses to breathe instead of shouting teaches patience. A family that shares mindful meals teaches gratitude. These small acts ripple into the next generation, shaping how children see themselves and the world. Mindfulness in workplaces. Imagine a workplace where leaders pause before reacting, where meetings begin with a mindful breath, where colleagues truly listen. Studies show mindful workplaces experience less burnout and absenteeism, greater collaboration and creativity, higher morale and resilience in change. Mindfulness is not only good for well-being, it is good for productivity and innovation. Mindfulness in communities. At the community level, mindfulness fosters empathy and compassion. Teachers who practice mindfulness create safer, calmer classrooms. Healthcare workers who pause to breathe bring compassion into care. Citizens who act with awareness reduce conflict and increase cooperation. Communities grounded in presence are more resilient, more humane, and more just. The social ripple mindfulness spreads quietly. A calm driver influences traffic. A compassionate leader inspires followers. A patient teacher influences hundreds of lives. These ripples multiply until entire cultures shift. Building a mindful society. To build a mindful community, we need not grand reforms. We need individuals committed to presence, multiplied many times. 1 mindful breath in a family dinner. 1 pause before an angry email. 1 moment of listening to a neighbor. Together, these moments accumulate into culture, the vision forward. Mindfulness may begin as personal healing, but it becomes collective transformation. A mindful society is not utopia. It is simply a community where people meet each moment and each other with awareness. Mindfulness is never just about me. It is always about us. When presence ripples outward, it becomes the foundation for kinder families, healthier workplaces, and more compassionate communities. And in that ripple, the possibility of a better world is born. Epilogue: Living awake, living free. Mindfulness is often misunderstood as a practice for monks or spiritual seekers, something separate from real life. Yet the truth is the opposite. Mindfulness is not about leaving life behind, but about returning to it, fully, deeply awake. Waking up to the present. The past is memory. The future is imagination. Only the present is alive. Each mindful breath, each moment of awareness is an act of waking up from the dream of distraction. To live mindfully is to live in reality, not in regrets or anticipation. Freedom in awareness. True freedom is not the absence of problems, but the ability to meet them without being enslaved by them. With mindfulness, we discover we are not our thoughts. We can observe them. We are not our emotions. We can hold them gently. We are not prisoners of habit. We can choose new patterns. Awareness gives us choice. Choice gives us freedom. The invitation of mindfulness. You do not need a perfect setting, a long retreat, or years of practice to begin. You need only this moment, here and now. Take a breath. Notice it. Feel the body alive. Notice the world around you. This is mindfulness. Let mindfulness be not just something you practice, but the way you live. Breathe when you are tired. Pause when you are angry. Listen when you are with others. Notice the beauty in ordinary things. Living awake, living free. To live awake is to refuse autopilot. To live free is to meet life as it is, without being bound by fear, habit, or distraction. Mindfulness will not remove every storm, but it will teach you to stand in the center of the storm with clarity, compassion, and courage. The gift of mindfulness is simple but profound. Life itself, lived fully awake.